The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Flyers All Access Show right here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Matt Malloy, and we have so much information for you in this show, we have to get it started right away. Last night, on the 14th of November, the Newfoundland and Labrador Senior Hockey League held a 3-round draft where the Gander Flyers selected first in each of those 3 rounds. So with their first selection in last night's draft, the Flyers took St. George, Newfoundland's David Chubb, who is coming off of 4 years of OUAA hockey with Queen's University. Now, in 84 games with Queen's, Chubb recorded 22 goals and 23 assists for 45 points, along with 167 penalty minutes. With the first pick in the second round, the Flyers took a defenseman, Gander's own Adam Ivany. Now, just a quick note on Ivany. In 2008-2009, Ivany played his rookie season with the Deer Lake Red Wings when Scott Young was there as a defenseman. And of course, Scott right now is a coach with the Gander Flyers. All teams passed on their third round selection. And since the Flyers drafted 2 new players, they had to release 2 players to stay below the 28-man protected list. So after they took Chubb in the first round, the Flyers released goaltender Brad Wall. Now after they selected Ivany, the Flyers released New West Valley's hockey player, Mr. Chris Blackmore. Now in other news, when it comes to NL, SHL, and Gander Flyers related news, my good friend and the sports reporter out at the Compass, Mr. Nick Mercer, has reported that longtime CB's goalie, Freddy Diamond, has asked that team for a trade, but not only that, Nick is also reporting Gander could be a possible destination for Freddy Diamond, and we have Nick on the line right now. Nick, are you there?
Yes, I am, Matt.
Nick, what's the latest on the whole Freddy Diamond situation?
Well, the latest, as I reported last night, was that Freddy has requested a trade from the organization, and that he has Gander and Grand Falls both have been in contact with him about a possible deal, but nothing has been worked out thus far.
Okay, Nick, and also in your article when you mentioned that Gander is a possible fit for Diamond, what was his thoughts on coming to Gander? Is that something that he would be open to?
Yeah, I got all indications from speaking with Freddy that he would be open to the move. He feels that he can bring experience to the club, and they can sort of learn from his experience. You know, he's been to 6 straight Herder finals. He's won 3. He's been a playoff MVP in the past, so he feels like he has a lot to give to the organization.
Now, Nick, I'm also curious. Freddie is a longtime member of the CBs. I believe he won 3 straight Herders with the CBs, been there for something like 9 years. He's been a staple for that hockey team. So tell me why he actually wanted to trade from the CBs.
Well, last year, it kind of started, I get the feeling it started last year when they started out going game for game between him and Dougie Jewer. And then after Christmas, it sort of transitioned to Jewer was the starter and Freddie was the backup. And then this year was the same thing. They brought in import Charles Levine. And Freddie was kind of, he went to Gander that first weekend. He didn't play. And he felt like there was a lack of communication between him and CB's brass. And I think that was most of what led to his request. He felt like there was no communication. There was a breakdown between him and the team, and he wasn't really told what his role would be. And I guess he was caught off guard by that.
And of course, Nick, this is pretty big news coming out of your area in CB's country. Just tell me how the fans are reacting to this news.
I think they're somewhat disappointed in it. You know, he's a goaltending institution here, he's been one for so long. And I guess you could arguably call him the winningest goaltender in the CB's storied history. And I think that there's a little bit of hurt there just because he's been a fan favorite for so long, and at times he was unbeatable when, we brought them 3 hurders. Now, Saturday night, there were times when you could hear coming down from the stands, people saying we want our Freddy back and things like that. So I think I don't know if it'll cut deep, but I think it's disappointed some longtime CB's faithful.
This is Nick Mercer on the phone with us right now. Nick is a sports reporter for The Compass and is also a former reporter for The Beacon here in Gander. Nick, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Matt.
From all of the action off of the ice to the action on it, this past weekend, the league-leading Cataracts were in town to play our Gander Flyers. And right now, I want you to take a step through our dressing room doors and have a look at the November 10th highlights featuring a goaltending battle between A.J. Whiffen and Paddy O'Brien. Take a look. Paddy O'Brien was busy early on the 10th of November, making a big save there off of Cody Roach and 2 more off of Danny Evans in close. But Andre Gill opened the scoring right there with that breakaway goal to make it 1-0. But O'Brien stayed strong, robbing Matt Quinn there on the breakaway. But the Cats kept coming with a goal right there from Ryan Graham, who was left alone. And the Flyers had trouble all night trying to score, even when guys like Andrew White are crashing the net. But they managed to finally get one right there, with Grant Donovan tipped a Spencer Corcoran shot to make it 2-1 for the Grand Falls Windsor Cataracts. O'Brien was strong after that, making a big glove save there. And there's more coming up. Look at that save right there. Big breakaway save with the glove. O'Brien was strong. But he couldn't stop them all. As you can see right now, Martin Lapointe makes it 3-1 with that point shot. And that was how she ended at the Gander Community Center on Saturday night. The Cataracts took full advantage of a slow first period for the Flyers to hold on to that 3-1 win. But what positives were there from that loss for the Flyers? Well, in the second and third periods of that game, the Flyers outshot the Cats 25-18, while Paddy O'Brien was nothing short of spectacular, stopping 32 of 35 saves. Now, following strong second and third periods on the night before, how would the Flyers come out on the 11th? Let's take a look at the highlights. Flyers struck first in Game 2 when Grant Donovan found Sean Wadden in the slot, and that one-timer beat A.J. Whiffen to make it 1-0 early on for Gander. Now the Flyers coming up right now, as you're going to see, they get another great scoring chance. Ryan Matheson, bing off the post, still 1-0 for the Flyers. The Cats tied it up right here, though, with a goal from Chris Peach on the power play, 1-1, still in the first period. The Cats later went up 2-1, as you're going to see coming up shortly. Ryan Graham stuffed a puck right behind Paddy O'Brien right there. That made it 2-1 for the Cataracts. Steve Brazel for the Flyers tried his best to tie the game at 2. Watch this, charges the net, boom. Bowls A.J. Whiffen over, but he stopped Brazel and the puck to keep the score at 2-1. Now the Cats kept coming in the second period, as you're going to see right here. They're going to score right here to make it 3-1, and that was a goal from Mike Brent. That was a point shot. That beat O'Brien. And now we're going to let Derek Roberts take over to talk about some of these saves.
Throws it over, and another great save by Whiffen as he comes trying to find someone to pass to. White throws it over. There's a shot in the Whitehead. Going the other way. Scott now alone makes the move, and Whiffen makes the save. They throw it back in the corner to Boland. They chip it out into the front. No one there to put it away. Out comes the Cataracts on a breakaway with 5 seconds left at the penalty box. Scores!
Again, Gander is not watching for that player coming out of the penalty box.
And away comes the Cataracts into the Flyer zone. In through, here's a shot, scores!
That's not what Gander needed.
After Chris Peach scored to make it 5-1, Grant Donovan took it upon himself right here to get the Flyers and the Flyers fans back into it with a lively tilt against Ryan Graham. These two went at it for a long time, and watch, coming up shortly, watch the uppercut by Grant Donovan when they go to the boards. It's quick, but it's effective. It's going to come up soon, right here. Watch for it, watch for it. There it is, big uppercut right there. Now that got things going for the Flyers because quickly after on the power play, Andrew White right here gets his first of the season. That put the Flyers on the board. The score was 5-2, but that's as close as the Flyers would get. Both goalies were busy on Sunday evening as they both turned away 39 shots each. Now, there were a few firsts for the Flyers on Sunday as a new forward, Tyler Whitehead, picked up his first assist as a Flyer. and Grant Donovan got into the first Flyers fight of the season. Now, the Cats and Flyers have both played 6 games so far this season, and now we're going to show you where that puts them in the standings. As you can see right now, the Cats sit in first place with 12 points, thanks to their perfect 6-0 record, while the Flyers sit in 5th with 1 point and an 0-5-1 record. Aside from the Cats and the Flyers, there was plenty of movement in the standings after Sunday's games. After sweeping the Clarenville Caribous on the 3rd and 4th of November, the Western Royals swept the CBN Eastlink CB Stars over the weekend to catapult into 2nd place in the league with a 4-2 record and 8 points. The Caribous went from 2nd to 3rd with 7 points, and the CBs went from 3rd to 4th with 6, which is 5 points better than the Flyers. Now, things won't get any easier for the Flyers this weekend when they head west to play the red-hot Western Royals, who are currently riding a 4-game winning streak. I was talking to Doug Hardman after the 11th game, and he was telling me that he was excited to travel to Deer Lake. Now, Dougie is one of only a handful of players for the Flyers who haven't recorded a point yet this season, and that's going to take us now into the Flyers point leaders, and we'll get the boys in the back to put that graphic up for you guys right now. So as you can see, for the 2nd show in a row, St. John's native Sean Wadden leads the team with 5 points in 6 games, while Grant Donovan follows with 4 points in 6 games. Now, both Donovan and Wadden are tied for the team lead in goals with 3 each, and Donovan leads the team in penalty minutes with 31, while Wadden follows with 26. Now, Andrew White, who scored his first goal as a Flyer over the weekend, sits in 3rd with 3 points, while 6 players are tied with 2 points each, including Chad Locke, Steve Pearson, Jordan Scott, Shane Boland, Brad Slaney, and Spencer Corcoran. And 7 players are tied with 1 point each. Now, from the top point getters for the Flyers to the league leaders in the NLSHL, shortly we're going to put up their league leaders. But first, I want to tell you that there is a new league leader in the NLSHL since last week, and 3 players make their debut on this leaderboard. Now, following that, we're going to show you the top goalies in the league. So, as you can see, Keith Delaney of the CBs takes over in the top spot from Dale Sullivan. Keith Delaney has 2 goals and a league-leading 10 assists for 12 points, while Dale Sullivan sits 2nd with 11 points. In 3rd, we have a brand new member to this leaderboard, Justin Barber of the Royals. He has 10 points. A little further down the line, Mike Dyke, Gander-born Mike Dyke. He's up there with 9. He is a new player to this list. Matt Bray from the Caribous also has 9. Darren Langdon, an NHL vet, he's also up there with 9. He's new to this list, followed by Andre Gill and Andrew Sweetland, who both have 9 points. Ray Dalton and Mark Robathan of the CBs and Caribous have 8 points each. Now, we're going to show you the goaltender stats. Now, unlike the league leaders, there's no doubt who the top goalie in the league is so far, and that is A.J. Whiffen of the Cataracts, folks. Look at those stats. 6 games, 6 wins, only 10 goals against with a stellar 0.954 save percentage. I'm guessing the Flyers are pretty happy that they're not shooting against AJ this weekend. As for the rest of the league's leaders, Jason Churchill of the Caribous and Charles Levine of the CBs share 3 wins each. And after 8 games with the CBs, Charles Levine has seen the most shots of any goalie in the league with 279. Doug Jewer and Bradley Dyke of the Royals both have 2 wins each, while Roger Kennedy, Devin O'Brien, Greg Bursey, and Patty O'Brien are still looking for their first wins of the year. Now, the Flyers could very well be shooting pucks against the 2 Royals goaltenders this season in Dougie Jewer and Brad Dyke. Now, for defenseman Dougie Hardiman, it's his first time traveling to the famed Hodder Stadium in Deer Lake this weekend, and I got an opportunity to speak with Doug following the 11th game here in Gander, and this is what Doug had to say. Hardiman, Doug, first just give us your thoughts on the 2 games this weekend.
It's a tough weekend for us, you know. I thought we played really hard, played 5 good periods, bad first period there last night, and really good second and third. But boy, are we snake bitten. I mean, how many chances can you have? Empty nets, breakaways. So it's frustrating in that aspect, you know, to come away with no points and play hard and play well. But, And that's all you can do. You play hard and you get the results and you deal with them. And we got to go to Western next week, so we got to worry about that now.
And also, too, look, for this game, you guys fired like 39 shots on net against AJ Whiffen, and he was just spectacular. So I don't know, so what's it like when you're on the bench like that and you're seeing shot after shot go up and you just can't beat him?
He's on his game right now. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you're getting cross-ice passes, backdoor plays, and he's square to the puck. So he's obviously seeing everything really well. He's reading everything really well. And you get a guy like that, sometimes you just got to throw the puck at the net and crash. And maybe we didn't do enough of that after he made some big saves, you know. But what can you say? You got to give it to him. He's on his game. Sometimes you just tip your cap.
Exactly. And also, too, I mean, it seems like for the 5 home games that the Flyers played, you guys have been averaging about 1,200 fans a game, up to over 1,400 fans a game. I mean, you guys are getting some decent support here so far this season.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. It's just I wish we could, make them cheer a little more with a few more goals, but it'll come. I mean, it's all a matter of learning and learning to win as a team and playing the full 60 minutes, and it's all going to come, and I feel like it's coming together. We had a good weekend here, and we got to take the positives from it, and it's unfortunate we didn't get any points, but, we got to move on.
Speaking of positives, Doug, this team is really young. Just talk about how important it is for the team to stay positive. Even, I guess even though when you lose, because it is a really young team, you got a bunch of guys here who have no senior experience. So I'm guessing it's maybe crucial even to stay positive.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. You don't want to get down. I mean, you're 6 games into the season. It's only a 24-game season, so you're a quarter of the way there. But absolutely, you got to stay composed, and you can't get too panicked. And I think that's part of what's going on is guys holding the stick too hard and just rushing chances, and you see that. I mean, we're getting empty nets and breakaways and not burying, and we got guys who can do that. So I think it's just a matter of time. You got to stick with it and stay positive, and I think it'll all come around. But yeah, for having such a young team and trying to keep everybody positive is actually not that big a challenge. Everybody's pretty gung-ho and just ready to go game to game. So that's what we do.
Finally, Doug, of course, now this weekend you guys are going to be off to Deer Lake to play the Royals. Just give us your thoughts on that series, and I guess just tell us what the boys got to do to try and get that first win.
Yeah, and Western's playing really well. They beat just about everybody, so, what more do you want? You want to play a hot team to get hot, and we're going into the hotter down in Deer Lake. It should be fun. I've actually personally never played there before, so it'll be a first for me. I'll enjoy it. Lots of big bodies, I'm told, so I'm sure I'll take a few hits, but that's part of the game. So I'm looking forward to it, man. We've never played Western yet, so we'll see what they got.
Thanks, I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, thanks, Matt.
Talk about doing things on the fly. Adam Ivany just walked into the Rogers studio, so he's here with me right now, a brand new member of the Gander Flyers. Adam, thanks for joining us. First of all, just give us your thoughts on the fact that you're drafted by the Gander Flyers.
Yeah, it was a while coming. I was skating with the boys in training camp and kind of hemming and hawing whether or not I'd be ready to go, but it feels good. I'm ready to get going. I guess it's great.
Now, I know last night I was on Twitter. I was trying to follow all of the draft results. I've found it a little trouble trying to find some stats on you, so just tell us what you've been doing the past couple of years.
Yeah, well, I spent the last 3 years in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Actually, I've been working a bit there, and I took some time off of competitive hockey, I guess we'll say. The last bit of competitive I played was with the Deer Lake Red Wings back in 08 and 09. Myself and Scotty Young were over there, obviously, before the Flyers were back. So I've been taking a bit of time off competitive hockey, but I've definitely been getting the itch to get back in there, so it feels good.
Now, back in 08, 09, when you were playing with the Red Wings, you had a chance to play with Scotty Young, like you just mentioned. Back then, as a rookie, that must have been a great thing for you to play with somebody like Scott Young, who's been around for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up watching him play back with the old Flyers, him and guys like Todd Bowen, Pete Edison, a bunch of names that everyone knows around here. And getting to go play with Scotty in Deer Lake with some other veterans like Darren Langdon, obviously, is still around, and Harold Druken was playing there that year. The Robinsons, it made me, really learn a lot about senior hockey here in Newfoundland. It was a great experience for sure.
Perfect. Folks, this is Adam Ivany, the brand new defenseman for our Gander Flyers. Just came in here, talk about live TV. Adam, thanks a lot for your time. I appreciate you coming in here.
Thanks for having me.
We need to take a quick commercial break, but stay right there. We'll be back in a few minutes.
I'm Amy Purdy. At 19, I contracted bacterial meningitis. With less than a 2% chance to live, I slipped into a coma and lost both of my legs below the knee. Now I have lots of legs, and I feel lucky to be alive. So I can tell you, not all meningitis is the same. Not all vaccines are the same. Get the one that fully protects your child. The Meningitis Research Foundation of Canada can help. Now you know.
This is Rogers TV, where local matters in Gander.
I'm your host, Matt Malloy, folks, and welcome back to the second episode of the Flyers All Access Show. Now, since this man sitting right next to me right here has been doing his public announcing duties for the Gander Flyers at home games, he's been asking, Matt, when are you finally going to interview me? Well, Darren Bursey, that time is done, my friend. How are things?
Great. Things are great.
Now, Darren, I want you to take some time to tell us how you actually got into this role with the Flyers of doing the public address announcing at the Gander Community Center.
Months ago, my cousin, Jeff Goss, just asked me if the Flyers got back on the go, would I be interested in doing the announcing and some of the game day things. And at that time I said yes, and now I have to honor my commitment.
Exactly, so you do. But now, Darren, well, first, is it okay if I called you Darren or Tank?
Whatever.
I want to call you Tank. We're going to call you Tank. So,
excellent.
Now, Tank, back in 1987-88, you were helping out the Gander International. So just tell us what role you were doing then.
Yeah, involved with the team back then, similar to what I'm doing now. There was no system in the old Gander Gardens then, so I put some of my sound gear in there and played some music. And same idea, try to keep the fans interested in between.
Now, of course, back then, as everybody knows, those Gander Internationals didn't have such a great year. They went 1 for 47 and allowed 658 goals against. What was it like, Darren, just to go through that season?
Yeah, it was a tough season, no doubt about it. But again, similar to this team, we came into the league in a disadvantaged situation, but this team is excelling, doing extremely well. Again, because of the disadvantaged situation, but the team have put together a great team. The executive team have put together a great team, considering the pool we had to work with.
Exactly. Now, surprisingly enough, you're not a hockey fan.
Not really. I might watch a game in the playoffs, but no, not a big hockey fan. I like hockey, I guess, but no, not a big hockey fan.
So right now the Flyers, they're 0-5-1 to start this season.
Yeah.
Just give us your thoughts on, I guess, what you're seeing on the ice from your booth at the Gander Community Center.
Well, again, the team, we've got a fast team. They're getting their chances. And, I think it's only a matter of time before they kind of go over the top and really excel.
Now, if you had to, for one game, jump on the ice with the Flyers, we're short benched, we're short man. What position will you play and why?
Well, I see they've got my jersey behind me, right? So
that's what we
I
put there.
Hope that doesn't actually happen. I was a defenseman. I did play hockey back in my elementary days, and I didn't really care about the puck. I just like to hit people.
Like to hit people?
Yeah.
Well, that seems fitting for a man named Tank.
You got her.
Now, just talk about Tank, and I want to know where that nickname came from.
Grade 7.
Short
Grade 7, long time ago. People, because of my size, would assume that's where it came from, and it is. Had a comic book, Jackie Jokers, who was a friend of Richie Rich. And back then, you may remember a character, Frank Cannon. It was a detective show, big guy, and he did a parody in this comic book, Tank Canyon, of Jackie Jokers, had him blown up, and I guess it looked like me. My brother started calling me Tank, got around school, been Tank ever since.
And it's been stuck ever since grade
7.
Yeah,
yeah, and followed me from St. John's to Gander.
And St. John's to Gander,
yeah.
Wow. Now, Tank, I've heard a lot of great stories about the old Gander Gardens. I've heard stories about how much cigarette smoke would build after the first 2 periods and you couldn't see nothing in the 3rd period. I've heard stories about the fans that would go there to watch. Just tell us some of your favorite memories of the old Gander Gardens.
Oh, for me, the orange section, man, that's what it's all about. That's where I would sit, and very boisterous section. Orange section rocked, and that was the place to be.
Now, back in 87, 88, what sort of music were you playing back then?
Oh man, would have been, a lot of it similar to nowadays. They still use a lot of that, the kind of the get up and go rock and roll, AC/DC and things like that. So a lot of the music is kind of come around or still around. But I kind of mix in the classics with some new stuff for the younger generation that are there, and your typical hockey organ stuff. Just try to keep the crowd interested in between.
Now, Tank, I'm a big boxing fan. I love the fights. All fighters need some great walkout music. Have you thought about that song for the Flyers, the song that you're going to play when the boys take the ice?
Yeah, the guys have come up with a song for me to play, actually. I kind of polled the team and said, you guys come up with it because it's your song. So the song is actually called Sex on Fire by Kings of Leon.
And that's going to be a hockey song?
Well, we're going to try.
Well, folks, this is Darren Bursey, otherwise known as Tank, and next week, when the Gander Flyers host the Clarenville Caraboos, you can come and listen to all the Tank's announcing and his music. Darren, Tank Bursey, thanks for doing this, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Now, folks, we have to take one more break, but stay with us and just come back here for our final segment. Welcome back, everybody, to the Flyers All Access show right here on Rogers TV. Now, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think of the show. We want to know what you think about the Freddy Diamond situation. Should the Flyers trade for Diamond? What do you think about Adam Ivany coming back to Gander to play for the Flyers? Give us a call, 651-3257. And right here with me now is the show producer, Corey Abbott. Corey, it's been a busy show.
I tell you, it's fast and furious. It's all access.
It's all access now. Some big news coming out last night at the draft. Some big names being tossed around. Corey, when you look at it in the first round, Matt Boland, he's a Gander boy going to the Royals.
That's right. Yeah, Matt Boland, a big defenseman, over 6'4", 6'5", I think, something like that. So he's going to add a lot of size to an already very large Western Royals team. And Peter George, the assistant coach of the Seabees, was actually picked up by the Seabees.
Exactly.
So that's a team really struggling for defense now. They got a couple of guys with work commitments and struggling to get into games. So looking for some depth signings there, I think, by the Seabees. And Chris Mooney was released by the Cataracts, going back to the Claremont Caribous. And Caribous fans very familiar with Chris Mooney. Spent a lot of years there, won some herders, big-time scorer. So interested to see now if he signs with the Caribous shortly.
Oh, for sure. And also, too, Corey, Gander got Ivany in that draft, another big defenseman. Just give us your thoughts on Adam coming back to play for the Flyers.
Definitely a plus for the Flyers. A big local boy coming back, getting some depth on the blue line, some with senior hockey experience. Big boy, and just standing up next to him, I didn't realize he was so large. So he's going to add a lot of size to the Flyers back in for sure. And David Chubb picked first overall, and both players are signed. They're going to be in the Flyers lineup. Thanks a lot, Corey, for your input on the draft, folks. That's it for tonight. I am Matt Malloy, sports editor for The Beacon. Time for one shameless plug. Make sure you pick up The Beacon for some free tickets for the next Flyers home games. And also, you're going to see an article on the Flyers where they played the Cats over the weekend. We have articles in there about Jaden Barron, a figure skater going to Skate Canada Challenge. Articles in there about two more hockey players, Jamie Rousel and also Aaron Hoyles. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next week.